Hello, welcome to Cinema Savvy. We are back continuing our review series on the majority of the Oscar-nominated films this year in the lead up to the 93rd Academy Awards. And today we're going to be talking about Ma Rainey's Black Bottom, which is the George C. Wolfe directed film starring Viola Davis and Chadwick Boseman. This film is actually available to watch on Netflix and has been on there since about December, so it's readily available to watch based on a play of the same name. And this has been nominated for 5 Academy Awards, including Best Actress for Viola Davis and Best Actor for Chadwick Boseman. This is going to be a spoiler-free review, but if we do get into any spoilers towards the end, we'll let you guys know beforehand. But before we get into this review, over to George with the socials.
Absolutely, guys. As we've both said, this film has been out for quite a while, and both of us are quite new to it. I think when you get a lot of Oscar talk, it's easier to let, especially when it's on Netflix and not cinemas. So we will mention a scene or two, more or less the ending will be near the end, like what we did for The Father. So if you have seen it, let us know your thoughts on the film. Do comment your thoughts on the performances, the story. We'll go into its theatre background shortly, but let us know your thoughts. And if you do like this film, if you like what we're doing, if you like Oscar films, we're the channel to be at for the next couple of weeks, as we've got a lot on the way. So hit that like button, do hit the subscribe as well. But if you want to find out more of our videos and when they're going to go up, the best way to find that out is getting us on social media, which is Facebook at Cinema Savvy, Twitter at cinema_savvy, letterboxd.com/cinemasavvy, and we have a link in the description below for both our TeePublic store and a way for you to win a Rakuten voucher by doing Oscar predictions. So have a quick check of that as well. It's just, if you know your films, it's easy money. That's basically the easiest way we can put that over to you. So that is all of them. But no, we are talking Ma Rainey's Black Bottom, and we'll start off as usual, sort of with the background, because I knew next to nothing about this film, other than the fact in truth that it was Chadwick Boseman's final performance, and I didn't know that there was a theatre background. I think you saw this yesterday, saw this just before I did. But kind of following The Father, very weird to have like 2 theatre films in 2 days, kind of.
We didn't plan that, by the way. That's just how it turned out. So, yeah, and you can kind of tell as well, just like visually watching this film, and even the other one as well, I think, when you've got limited locations, when you've got 1 or 2 locations, this one definitely felt even more like sort of like theatre-like and theatrical, in my opinion. Even the way it was filmed, and like I don't even know if this is a drawback to this film, because I do really enjoy this film, but it didn't really give me that sort of cinematic scope. Even the way it was shot, the way that certain actors were, covered in the shots and everything. There are like monologues in this film where it's almost like a spotlight's on the main actor, and it does feel very much like a stage play, which, of course, I believe this has been performed on stage, hasn't it? Or has this literally just been written before this point? So yeah, we didn't plan the order. We just kind of threw these films and these reviews that we're doing in a random order. But yeah, it's kind of weird how we got 2 theatrical things back to back.
Yeah, and I think that's a very sort of interesting one that I've not seen One Night in Miami yet. I know that Tate saw it, and a lot of people, I don't know if that was also theatre originally that became a play, but you're getting this very slow trend of more theatre productions being made into films, and I don't know if it's a good thing or a bad thing. I think it's great in terms of educating other people and stuff they may not have seen before. I've got no knowledge of music and absolute truth heading into this. I didn't even know Ma Rainey was a real person. I didn't know this was a fictional telling of that story too. So my knowledge of music is ridiculously low. And so when it comes to something set in the early 20s, in last century's 20s now, which is terrifying to think about, it was completely new to me. So I was quite curious to sort of see how this is. That I knew this was very much going to be a music-based film, but I didn't expect that sort of theatre drama production. And I think it worked in its favour. I think the writing was quite strong. And it's obviously adapted a very famous theatre production that I think Denzel produced this as well. I think there was a big deal to get 10 of the original plays made into films and whatnot with HBO, but this is the second one after Fences. And I think what was powerful with this one for me is that, not knowing that behind the scenes, if you hit the nail on the head, that it does feel like watching theatre. But as somebody that doesn't go to theatre, you miss out on I don't say miss out on a lot, because it's not really my forte, but getting the chance to see it like this, not like Hamilton where Disney just paid for them to record it, an actual adaptation of it, I think makes a big difference. And I think that's something that, especially when it's not musicals, it is an outright play being made as a film. I think there's a big difference there. And I think that's something I've really enjoyed of this as well.
Yeah, and I think with something like that as well, where it is quite small scale, it allows the performances to shine through all the more because your whole focus is on those two lead performances. And I mean, this film has a bunch of great performances in there, the whole band especially, but the main two are Chadwick Boseman and Viola Davis, who have quite rightfully been nominated for an Academy Award. I'm just going to read the plot. This is according to IMDb. So during a recording session, tensions rise between Ma Rainey, her ambitious horn player, and the white management determined to control the uncontrollable mother of the blues. What you've really got is so you've got Chadwick Boseman and Viola Davis's character, who are both in this band, but there are constant tensions between the two of them. And I think that Ma Rainey symbolizes the old ways and the old feeling behind the music, and Chadwick Boseman's this sort of like young upstart kind of thing, and he wants to take those old tunes and rework them and make them more marketable to a modern audience and get some new life into them and new attention to them. And the two kind of butt heads that way, although the two you understand because it goes into like everything that has happened with the race relations at the time in the 20s in America. Both have gone through very traumatic things in their past. I'd say you get more of an insight into Chadwick Boseman's past in his character, in that he delivers this absolute walk away, like 10-minute monologue where he goes through his whole past history. And with Ma Rainey, you get the sense that she's kind of become aware to the world and she knows how to manipulate them. And, you know, she's not a pushover by any stretch of the imagination. I love how she played this character. She's very much a diva. She's no nonsense. She doesn't let anyone talk down to her. Everyone works on her terms and it's going to be how she wants. And with both of the characters, you can see that that's how they're trying to maintain control in this society where, you know, the black person's looked down upon by the white society. But this is when they're playing, when they're singing, that's when they're most powerful and can sort of express, you know, through the blues. I mean, the blues, that's how it originated, you know, where they can express life and all the troubles out into music.
Yeah, and I think that was a big thing of this, is that the two sort of leads are outright leads as well. People have had a discussion about one of them being supporting. Both leads. Viola Davis is superb. I think every film she's in, she is usually the best thing in it by country mile. I'm even going to bring up the horrific Suicide Squad. She was probably the only good thing in that final cut, in absolute truth. And I think, you know, not the fact they're getting back to that, it's not Talk DC, but I think she's an actress that when her name's in a film, you know, you kind of not know what you're going to get, but you know, I'm going to get one hell of a performance from Viola. And I think she's, as you said, rightfully nominated. I think she's superb in this. The best actress race at the Oscars, kind of getting into sort of current domain, is probably the one no one has an absolute clue what's happening at the moment. I think Viola Davis could walk away with that, if dependent on the other ones as well. And obviously, we're not the Oscar voters, like they're not the smartest at times. And I think sort of her sort of similarities with Chadwick, but differences, makes a really interesting sort of dynamic, to the point where they even both like the same person in the film as well. That even from like a romance angle, they like the same person. And that's what I found was fascinating in this, is that they are very similar but so different. And when they're in scenes with each other, there is that tension. And they don't have many scenes where it's them by themselves. They very smartly keep them away from one another, so that when they do have scenes together, it's in that environment of other people. And I think that's when, very rare in films, we speak a lot about, we love actors sort of just acting with one another, just them two in a scene. But with this one, it's kind of, they're like, you've had this big build up and there's an audience to see them do it. And I think that's what makes their interaction so powerful between one another. And they're both absolutely superb in this film. I think I would go out and say Chadwick's by country mile the best thing in it. You messaged me before I saw it saying there is a scene with a monologue, and that's all I needed to know for this. And when it starts, that's, you know, we spoke very highly of the father yesterday, but I think Chadwick's got this in the bag. And obviously we do need to bring up obviously the tragedy that we've obviously don't have him anymore, and it is a massive shame seeing films. And you know, I've not seen many of his films, I will say that. I've not seen 42. I've not seen, I think it's Get On Up, the James Brown film, but he picked his role superbly. He didn't just go for easy payouts. He never did that. Every role he took was always with, it was a character he wanted to perform, a character he wanted to play as. And obviously, I will note more, Black Panther is a character where he's sort of become this defining image, not just for a generation, but for an entire culture. And I think in this film. It is absolute. It's heart-wrenching to know, especially there are scenes where he speaks about death and stuff. It's so hard watching films like this with him, knowing that we haven't been able to see him, and we know that does happen in films. But I think we spoke before, like it hit differently with him. The fact he was so young, the fact that it was kept quiet, but at the same time, he was going out and making films while being ill. The fact he was there on set every day, getting a performance this incredible, and we have that further knowledge that he was ill when he filmed it. That is just remarkable. I don't think many actors could do that. And I think absolutely credit to him. What a performance. And it's going to be, I think, a tough watch on the Oscar Sunday for when he wins.
Yeah, I mean, when you learn that he was still working, going through all that, like, you can't even imagine it. Like, it almost seems superhuman, like the stuff that he managed to create, and especially this role as well. It seems really weird saying things like going out on a high note, because you could say that about a lot of actors as well. You know, like Heath Ledger Joker comes to mind as well. Oh, you know, a tremendous final performance, but most of the time people don't know that's going to be their final performance, and it seems a weird thing to say. I've actually just brought up Chadwick Boseman's filmography just to make sure, and I'm actually kind of ashamed that this is the first film that I've seen of his outside of the Marvel films, so I've clearly got to watch a lot, and I'm definitely going to watch The Five Bloods before Oscar night anyway. But no, he's tremendous in this, and he commands your attention. The way that he talks with the band, and there's that camaraderie, but there's that constant clash, and he's very much this young character, this young, as I mentioned, like young upstart, and even the band members is with like considerably older, and you could say wiser, and have seen the world in a different way, have an experience more and become accustomed to it, and he's wanting to be that change. You know, he's this songwriter, he wants to get his songs out there, he's very idealistic. We'll talk about the ending towards the end, because we were both kind of thrown a little bit by the ending, but that monologue, and not even just that, but his whole performance throughout, his physicality, the way he moves, the way he talks, and just embodies that character, it's just incredible. Really, really is incredible. And then, you know, putting everything into perspective, what he was going through at the time, and still managed to just knock it out of the park with that performance. It is a really memorable performance, and he's a nice opposite side to Viola Davis as well. And yeah, I would have liked more scenes with them together, because I really loved that clash. That was some of my favorite stuff in the film. But it was interesting how you mentioned that, you know, like they shared the same lover as well, and from Viola Davis's perspective, you get the sense that it's like a domination thing. You know, she is wanting to be top dog. It's a symbol of control and power and strength. But then she goes to Boseman, so she's kind of in between the two. But I think that further cements those. Ultimately, they love playing the same kind of music. They have the same passion for music, but I think it's more their ideology of the world and the current state and race relations at the time. And you could argue that Viola Davis has seen a lot more. She knows how it works, and she even says that, you know, they only want me for my voice. As soon as I'm out of here, I'm nothing to them. So when I'm in here, they're going to work on my terms.
Yeah, and I think that's what's amazing with her, that the moment she says it, you kind of think, yeah, we kind of assumed that, but we hadn't seen it. Then you get to the last scene of the film, and it's the white manager chasing her in the street, desperate for her to sign the, what do they call them, release papers?
Release forms, yeah.
I'm imagining that's her signing over the rights to the song to them or something. Mm-hmm. And what I loved with that moment, and sorry, that is just what that's jumping in, isn't it? She's already took the money from them. And they're trying to get her to pay other people out of her own salary, when it wasn't that at all. And that's what I loved about her character, that he is this naive, optimistic person. I mean, you got the monologue is superb, and how he thinks he knows the world, but it's when they're laughing and joking when he's talking to the manager, how he's 180, he's very different. And her approach is, you know, I'm here, I'm getting my money, and I'm gone. You know, I'm not here for you. You're trying to screw me over. The Coke scene was amazing. Mm-hmm. That whole stuff, the tension with it, and I think that's what I love, the parallels between them, because he is so much younger in this film. He's meant to be, you know, a very up and coming musician, and he's so willingly giving away these songs for $5 a scrap, and he sells it. He sells it because at the end it finishes with white people singing his music, which was very, very common back then as well. Mm-hmm. I think that's worth mentioning. I think, you know, you don't need to know much about music to know that was such a obvious thing that, you know, the history looks back on, and I think that's what I liked, seeing that historical side of it as well. That, you know, it was a theatre setting, it was this, but they weren't trying to hide away from anything. That the true concept of this is that, yes, it was more about the music at the time, but they don't try and hide anything or try and play something else or quiet down. That they cover everything they need to cover. And I think it's a whole perspective of sort of youth and experience. And I think that's what's strong with this. And I think even with some of the supporting characters as well in the band with him, you know, they're very much all older. They've lived lives. They've had very different upbringings to his. And I like the conversations all of because you can't ever tell if they're angry or if they're laughing with each other. And it feels very natural. And I think it's hard to make dialogue feel natural, but they do it. And I think that's also something that works favour. And that's going back to those theatre roots that when you're at a theatre, you know, it's not about visuals. It's about performance. It's about sort of the scripts. I know that script's important everywhere you go, but for a theatre more than anything. And I think this film knocked it out of the park with that.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I love the camaraderie between the band members. I think that was definitely one of the film's strengths. The ending gets kind of weird. I don't know if we want to talk about the ending, but I wanted to mention that thing where it's the final shot of the movie where it's the white guys singing the songs that were written by Chadwick Boseman's character. And now I don't profess to know everything there is to know about blues. You know, like I've never played it. I don't really know many blues artists out there really, but I don't think you need to know tons about music to hear the striking difference between the two. Even within the context of this film, you've got this very organized and meticulous and almost robotic performance at the end from the white band playing it, and the conductor and everything's got to be all in time and organized. It's very much sort of singing the words and not feeling the words. And then you get back to the kind of music that, you know, Chadwick Boseman, Viola Davis, and everyone was playing earlier in the film, and they're feeling the music and it's kind of loose and it's improvised and it all comes together because they're all feeling the same thing. And I thought that was quite a nice bookend to end with that shot, and really did put it into perspective that, you know, these songs were great and we're going to like capture the hearts of everyone, but he sold them for $5 because he didn't have any other choice. No one else probably would have touched him. But do we want to talk about the ending? Because I think me and you both were a little bit confused by it.
Very quickly, I want to bring up, I couldn't remember the character's name, the nephew with the stutter.
Oh, yeah.
Loved that subplot. I don't know why it felt quite heartwarming that when he can eventually, they build it up as this, you know, they were laughing at him, he's got a stutter, he can't do it, he's there because it's his niece, and she's been very sort of strict with him, like, you know, you're going to sit here and do it till you can do it, and you kind of don't know how you feel about it, and then you get that amazing part where he gets it right, and it's like a really nice moment, and he's kind of got his own mini character. Like, I really enjoyed that. I just wanted to bring that up because that's something I didn't expect from this, because all the talk has been on Viola Davis and Chadwick Boseman. It's so hard to not think about them and think about the others, but I've really loved that the supporting character in this little moment.
And you feel the frustration from it as well, like the way it's shot, where it's like vinyl record after vinyl record, like take 2, take 3, I think they go up to like take 6 or 7, don't they? So you feel that, and with everyone sort of being the naysayer, you are almost kind of in their shoes as well. Like, this guy can't do it, like just get him out of there. But she believes in it, and it is that sort of like fist pumping moment, isn't it, when he does finally get it, and then they play that fantastic rendition, but then they don't hit record on the thing, do they? And then you feel the frustration again at what those musicians must have felt like when they knocked it out of the park and it wasn't picked up. So yeah, there's lots of great moments in this film, but we need to talk about the ending, because this felt very theatre. I think we both said that before we hit live. So this is spoiler alert for Ma Rainey's Black Bottom. It has been out for a while, but obviously I've only just got to this, and you know, we're doing the Oscar film. So if you haven't seen this, do go and check it out, because I definitely think it will be a good contender for this year's Oscars, and then come back to us afterwards. It's I'm trying to describe it, because you have Chadwick Boseman's character, kind of the whole world's against him at the end, basically, and you get the sense that, I don't want to say he's come from nothing, but he's gone from this really traumatic past event with his family and his mom being raped and his dad getting killed by this gang of white men. And you get the sense that he's working his way up the ladder and he's almost there. And the first step is where, you know, the guy says he's not going to take his songs on, or if he does, he's only going to pay him $5 for them. And in that moment, when Boseman gets that look on his face and goes up the stairs, I thought he was going to stab the recording guy. I thought that's where it was going to go to. But then it kind of goes weird, and you get the sense that this is like a man who's got nothing at the end. He's just a man who's got the nice shoes on his feet. So I think that's why he reacts so violently when someone steps on them and scuffs them, because that's the one sort of like prestigious thing that he's got in his life at the moment is his image. And when that's tarnished, he's a man who's got nothing. And I think he panics because he knows of sort of like where he came from and the shot that he got. And it's like one by one, all the stars are sort of blinking out. And I think the final straw was the shoes. I do think it's a bit of an extreme reaction. And it does feel a little bit out of character and a little bit random, but maybe that's something that would work better on the stage and doesn't translate maybe as well to film.
Yeah, that's what we both discussed before we sort of hit record on this, is that you can imagine being sat down at a theatre, you kind of said it, the spotlight would come on, all the other characters around him in the scene, they don't really react. It's very much that same sort of position, same reaction. And in that theatre setting, you'd imagine, the spotlight on the top, the others are in the shadows, they're staying still, and it's capturing this dramatic moment of the breakdown of Chadwick Boseman's character. And I think that's what was powerful, that because they kept cutting away from it, it was harder to take it in. Because when they were showing, and it sounds horrible, when they like flop bodies in films and stuff, it's always really weird for me, like creepy. That when you've got like the eyes when he's looking at him in this, that was really hard hitting. And that's the kind of thing you can't do in theatre because the audience can't see what the eyes are like from the back row. But I understand what they were trying to do, but I don't think it translated as well as I thought. I love the whole concept that she buys the shoes at the start. They're laughing at the start of the film about the shoes. It's this great thing. And as well, the fact they're yellow, they're there to stand out from the rest of it. I think it was a really big thing. And the whole scuff part was, I can understand the frustration, but it was very quick to, we already had earlier in the film when he got into a fight with someone, he got a knife out. So you're aware that he's got a weapon and stuff, but to kill the guy about the scuff, I don't really enjoy it for that point, but I understood the point of why they did that. I understand it where he's in a character, but I don't think it's something that works as well in the film as it would on the stage.
Yeah, and I think it's weird because you don't really get much follow-up to it, do you? I think it ends with that moment and you don't see any repercussions from it or what happened, and then we cut to, like the white guy singing the song at the end. So, yeah, I think it would work better in theatre, and even the director as well. I was just having a look, George C. Wolfe. He is a director. He's a Tony-winning director of theatre and film, and you look through some of his credits. He's worked a lot with the theatre, so he's kind of mashed the two with this one, but it definitely feels more theatre than film. Whereas I think that with The Father, if I'm going to compare it as sort of like two plays that were written and brought to the screen, I think that The Father utilized film techniques more and felt way more filmic in terms of its structure and its editing and how it was put together to get those emotions across. Whereas this one does feel like you've just set a camera up in like one room stage and just let these actors play out. So I think this is more of a performance driven film than it actually being sort of, like this visual medium and, in terms of how it's put together and its editing and everything like that. But for that reason, the performances are fantastic. Viola Davis is always incredible, and she is in this. I've never seen her play a character quite like this, which is incredible. And I mean, Chadwick Boseman, we've said everything we can about him, but what a tremendous talent, gone way too soon. But he is tremendous in this. And I think before going into it as well, and I don't want to dwell on it too much, but I think this is always the case. And I remember like with the case of Heath Ledger as well, where The Dark Knight was so successful. And I remember a lot of people saying, is it just more successful based on, like the tragedy that's befallen that surrounded the film? But after watching this, because I think going to our predictions, and I'll pass over to you in a second to sort of talk about our predictions, offer that we've got out there. After watching this, I think that no, he is an all-out winner for this. And I'm not just saying that, like, after seeing his performance in this, I don't think it's, because of the tragedy that surrounded it, that's the reason that people have nominated it, or that's why he's been nominated in the first place. Whether that happened or not, he is deserving of a nomination, and I'd say probably a win after seeing his performance in this film.
Yeah, and I think kind of echoing that is a really sort of minute prediction stuff. It's in 3 out of the 5 now for Best Actor. Gary Oldman's fine as Mank, but it's Gary Oldman not being Gary Oldman, but it's not Draxel Spivey. You know what I mean, and stuff like that. And I think when you look at Anthony Hopkins in The Father, which is to me the second best of those 3, probably the second best of the 5 in truth. I know this sounds horrible, but it feels like an Anthony Hopkins I've seen before.
Yeah,
we know he can do that drama. We know he can do comedy, and he's phenomenal in The Father. But this is, if you look at Chadwick Boseman in interviews and other performances, this isn't like anything we've seen of his before in terms of, the physical performance that he has in this. I don't mean physical as in superhero stuff. No, I mean his movement, him becoming this character. It feels, he's become this individual. Whereas with Anthony Hopkins, the father, it's Anthony Hopkins being Anthony Hopkins, really, really politely put. That sounds horrible, but he's unreal in that film. And I felt that there is a better performance in Chadwick in this. And when you get to that monologue, that hits hard. Mm-hmm. And it's the fact it's that slow, long take telling the story as well. And I think he rightfully will probably. I know I've not seen. Really looking forward to seeing Sound of Metal and Minari to get the other two, but you're not going to get anything past this. I think for me, and I think this is a wonderful performance. I do hope it's because the Oscars won't get this one wrong. I'm firmly guarantee that. On the other side of Viola Davis, this is only one of the 5 performances I've seen so far, so I don't know what it's like. I know that Promising Young Woman's going to be the big one, but I think at every award show, someone else has been winning it for Best Actress, so no one has a clue what's going to happen there. So as an Oscar thing, it's quite exciting to get a bit of intrigue for some things this is nominated for. I'm going to go out on a limb and put my neck on the line and say I don't think this should have been nominated for Best Film. I know it wasn't, but this was very much a big debate. Should this have been I know there was 2 free slots, but personally, I don't think it's on the caliber of some of the other ones I have seen so far. I know that some people do really like this. That's absolutely fine as well. But I'm obviously excited to see some of the others because I think One Night in Miami is going to be the one that I think missed out when it shouldn't have. But I need to watch it to get the confirmation. But that aside, that sounds very random Oscars tangent. I'm sort of talking. I've stolen what we're going to say on the 4-hour stream, so I need to pretend I didn't say that. But overall, a phenomenal film, performance-led, great film. It's got some issues, but you're there for performances and seeing these 2 amazing actors. So do go out and watch it if you haven't already. As I said, it's on Netflix. It's accessible. It's an hour and a half as well. One thing I've mentioned the runtime is that they didn't try and pad it. They didn't try and fill it in with just exposition. It flowed very well. The pacing was absolutely right for it too.
Absolutely. And as you mentioned, like all the other performances that we still need to watch in all the other films, we will get to all of those other films in the next coming weeks. Our next review will be this Sunday, which is Hillbilly Elegy. I don't know what to make of that film at the moment. That's going to... The tale will be told when I watch that film, but we know that Glenn Close has been nominated for both an Academy Award and a Razzie for that, so that's going to be a very interesting review. That's coming this Sunday, but in the meantime, we want to hear your guys' thoughts. Let us know what you thought of Ma Rainey's Black Bottom. Have you seen it? Have you yet to see it? Please do like, comment, share, subscribe, and start commenting because we do reply to all you guys' comments in the lead up to Oscar season. Speaking in the lead up to Oscar season, we are doing our Oscar predictions giveaway. So for more information in the description down below, we've done our predictions and we want you guys to do your predictions, your first and second choice for each of the categories of the Academy Awards. Send that across to us at the email that's in the description down below for your chance to win a £15 Rakuten voucher. We're going to be keeping score on the night. We like to keep it competitive on the night and we want to get you guys involved too. So please do check that out. And in the meantime, with all of these Oscar films, and I think I mentioned this on the last review, they can get very overwhelming. They're very dramatic. They're very impactful films. And sometimes you need a little bit of escapism. And we're still going to be continuing that escapism with all of our Marvel reviews. We have 3 weeks left of Falcon and the Winter Soldier. It's going very, very quickly. So you can check out our spoiler-filled discussions on those every Friday at 8 p.m. And I'm going to head over to George because... lots of things have been pre-recorded. I don't know which video we're up to, so why don't you tell people, George, which video you're up to in your Marvel retrospective?
Once again, completely unintentional, as was dropping a review for The Father the day before Thor Ragnarok. This Saturday, our Black Panther video will be going up on the channel. I was joined by Neil and Tom for that. There was a very good one, very important one to discuss. So if you're a fan of Chadwick Boseman, if you've enjoyed this video, then check that out this Saturday. If you've not seen any of them, we've got a massive playlist, the Infinity Saga retrospective every Monday, Wednesday, Saturday, where we're almost at the end now. We're almost in the end game, not quite there, but things are gearing up. So as I said, if you like Marvel, check that out, but specifically completely unintentional for this film. Black Panther is the next one, and obviously after that comes Infinity War. So we don't have the next film's going to have 20 of the Avengers in. No, it won't. So that being said, check that out for Marvel stuff. And I want to thank everybody for watching at home. I'm going to round off the socials. As I said, so many things coming up. The best way to find us is by getting us on those. And that is Facebook at Cinema Savvy, Twitter at Cinema_Savvy, letterboxd.com. I'll create a list to have all of our Oscar reviews in as well. They're all in a playlist on our channel anyway. That's in the description regardless. But we'll have a letterboxes for all the films we review, some of our list ideas. We have playlists, films we've done watch-alongs to. So if you like Letterboxd, check that out. It's main list. We don't write reviews on there, but we do log everything we watch, so you can check to see if it's something you're interested in. But once again, I want to thank everybody for watching, and we'll be sure to see you tomorrow for Falcon and the Winter Soldier.
Take care, everyone.